I speak to you in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
I have to admit, I was approaching today with dread, not just because having to follow so many great preachers, I was concerned about my content today, not just because of all the extras we have to try and remember, and thank you to Kurt for leading us ably around the procession, but because this is year C, and so the readings for this year come from the Gospel of Luke. Now, when I finished my parish ministry, many years before I came to St. John's, I let other preachers use many books and volumes to help me with my sermon. They're called commentaries, and I'm sure you've seen lots of them on the shelves in our St. Paul room there, or you've seen the shelves, priest's office. Clergy use them all the time. They elucidate the Greek, they articulate the Latin, they give some background to history, they may pull out sources from ancient historians like Josephus, and help us to understand the context of what we're going to preach on, so that we can think about an appropriate way to open up the gospel and the other readings of the day. So the reason I was dreading this year is because I'm going to have to pull out my commentaries for the Gospel of St. Luke. Now, when I put all my commentaries away, these many years ago, 12, 16, 15 years ago, I had them neatly lined up on a bookcase in my office in the basement of my house. But I share that basement. I share that basement with dogs sometimes. My dogs have a great appetite for the scriptures. They love the scriptures. Fortunately, the scripture they love the most is the Gospel of Luke. So, one day I came home to find that they had been thorough in their examination of the Gospel of Luke. They had taken it to pieces, literally, torn it up. But I thought to myself, I'm never going to need this. I'm never going to preach again, and I don't care. So I'll just shove it away in the back of this bookcase and let it stay there. So this week, when I began to think about my sermon, I had to pick up my commentary. And indeed, it was ripped in half, just as I left it. All the half-ripped pages stuffed inside the book, with dog tooth marks and saliva dried up all over them. But I determined I just would ignore it and carry on. So, as I turned a page, I'd have to find the rest of that page and make that page match up, and then try and turn that page over, make sure I could line all the words up, understand what was being said there, knowing that soon I would have to be looking for the next page, and the page after that, and the page after that. After a while, I started to get really angry and frustrated and distracted and delayed in my task because I simply couldn't make it work. I had left something too long, I ignored it, and now I was trying to ignore it again to no effect. So I simply put the book away, and the next day I got up with my Scotch tape, beginning at page 224 to page 261, taped together all the pages. I thought I was finished. But then as I opened the book, I discovered that the parts that weren't torn had big tooth marks through them, which again had dried up and curled up. And I thought, I'm not going to bother with these. I'll just ignore these and deal with the other pages. But you already know how that's going to work out. So I had to go even deeper into the book. This is what that book looks like. I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, there's no cover, long gone, long eaten, and all the indexes I didn't bother with because I knew I never need them, just needed the words. Now you might think to yourself, why not just get a new book? This book was given to me on the occasion of my ordination series. It was given to me by my housemate, who was a Roman Catholic chaplain, army chaplain. And so it's exactly what year is this? 2019. It's 33 years old. 33 years old. The other reason I didn't want to give it away is because inside it, I've written many notes, underlined passages. And as I go back and look at those underlinings, I think, what was I thinking? I wonder what I thought the point was. And what the book shows me is how my thoughts, my theology, and my faith have evolved since the time I was ordained in 1986 to now. And as I sat there, I'd like to say patiently, but it would be a lot. As I sat there impatiently pasting my St. Luke commentary together, as an interesting aside, the man who wrote this book, G.B. Caird, in the 1920s came to Canada and served in Edmonton from the UK, of all things. What an amazing path of a biblical scholar. I'm not sure what was happening in Edmonton in the 1920s. As I glued this back together, taped it together, tried to fit the pages together, I thought to myself how much this book was like the life the psalmist is describing this morning. Torn, gashed, rent asunder, filled with holes. How much it is like the life the psalmist talks about. How much it resembles our lives. How sometimes our lives turn out in ways we haven't expected, in ways we didn't plan. How we encounter things in our life we never thought we would have to deal with or experience. How we maybe think we've got a life we didn't really want, or we didn't think should turn out this way. We think of the tears in our lives made by loss or illness or disappointment, loss of employment, loss of a relationship, betrayal of a friend or a family member, or someone close to us. And at the time, maybe we think, I'm not going to deal with this. I'll just put it away. I'm not going to focus on this right now. I'll just keep going. I don't really have to worry about it. But how eventually those tears, those frays, begin to distract us in our path. They begin to delay us in our moving forward. They begin to separate us from a friend, from a family member, from the abundant life God wants us to live, and in equation separates us from God. And the time comes when, as Paul suggests in the epistle today, we have to empty ourselves of those things, of those tears, of those gaps. We have to open them up to God so they can be repaired, so they can be healed, so that we can function, so that we can move forward, so that we can leave them behind. And if anybody knows what the betrayal by a friend or an intimate member of our circle feels like, it's Jesus. He knows what it is to have someone who he thought loved him and cared for him betray him. Not just one friend, but more than one. And so I think we have the choice that the two criminals had, that we hear read about at the very end of this gospel. On the one hand, we be like the first criminal. We can stay stuck in whatever it is that has loaded down our life. We can blame other people. We can blame fate. We can enjoy just sitting there and feeling sorry for ourselves and telling anyone we'll meet how ill done by we have been, or maybe even blame God. But at the same time saying, look, if you really are God, why don't you save me from this mess? Or we can be like the man who was crucified on the other side of Jesus. who opens up his sin, who opens up his life, who opens up his missteps, his tears, his gaps, his gashes, his losses, his mistakes to Jesus and says, I know I deserve what's going to happen to me. And in that moment, even at that late stage of his life, his faith gives him forgiveness. His faith gives him salvation. So always we have a choice before us, and this week is a wonderful time, this holy week, in which to reflect on our lives and say which bits, which tears, which losses, which things in my life need repairing. What do I need to acknowledge, to open up to God and ask for his help, to acknowledge my part in this loss, in this distraction, in this thing that keeps me from moving forward, this thing I kept putting behind me and refused to deal with. What is this thing I can now ask God to heal for me? I promise you, as this young man found, the response you will get from Jesus will be out of all proportion to what you ask for. Because as Jesus promises this young man, he promises us. Whatever our sin, whatever our error, whatever our mistake, our carelessness, our delay in coming to him, our opening up that tear, that loss, that mistake, leads us not just to forgiveness, but to paradise. Amen.
Amen.
And no, you cannot go on this book because it's in really bad